5:30 and I am calling this meeting to order. Eric is not here and Peg is on Zoom. So here I am. Are there adjustments to the agenda?
I don't have any.
Okay, does anybody else have any? Okay, moving on to the approval of minutes of March 19th, 2025, April 2nd, and April 4th, 2025. Can I hear a motion?
Move to approve as drafted. Should we do it separately?
Well, yeah, maybe who's, depends on who was here. Were we all here on all of them?
Not the second one. The second one was
Second one?
2 minutes. You and I.
Alright, so let's do them separately. So can I hear a motion to approve the minutes of March 19th, 2025?
Move to approve the minutes of March 19, 2025 as drafted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of March 19th, 2025. Anybody have any changes, questions, comments, additions? Peg? Do you have anything?
Yes, I have no questions.
Okay. Okay, then hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, next up is the meeting of April 2nd, 2025. Can I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes of April 2nd, 2025 as drafted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of April 2nd, 2025 as drafted. Anybody have anything on this one? This was very, 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 very short.
Very. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know, I thought it was great. Okay.
No, I'll abstain because I wasn't.
You weren't there, okay. Then hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we have one abstention. So next up is the meeting of April 4th, 2025, meeting minutes.
I was there on the second.
Here, a motion? Oh,
I wasn't present, but I don't know that.
so back to the minutes of April 4th, 2025. Did we put a motion on the table? We did, didn't we?
Yes.
Do we have a second? All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of April 4th, 2025, which had Eric, myself, and Bex here. That was also possibly the shortest meeting we have ever had.
I don't know if we can, without Eric, I don't know if we can actually approve this meeting, because anything
That's
we
true.
pass, all three of us have to vote for.
We would have to sign it. Okay, so let's pass on those.
Yeah.
We'll table those. Good call. All right. So next is warrants to the treasurer.
So can we do April 4th
No.
payroll?
Payroll.
Oh, payroll, sure.
Payroll and accounts
Well,
payable.
there's three of
As long
us
as we
here.
all vote for it.
Right.
We're all three, yeah,
Okay.
we're four. Yeah, we're all here now, so we can do the payrolls.
Right.
So can I hear a motion to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer on April 4th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants for April 4th, 2025. Karen?
Yes, let me sort through this mess. So payroll warrant dated April 4th, 2025 in the amount of $20,480.20. So,
Anybody have any questions on the payroll? Okay, moving on to accounts payable.
accounts payable dated March 22nd through April 4th, 2025 in the amount of $1,400,160.78. So this warrant obviously has the Wyndham Southeast School District third payment. $1,278,875.97. US Bank is also on that warrant for $40,350.34, which is the gravel pit. And the fire station, no, excuse me, it's just a gravel pit.
I move to approve the warrant for, what's the date on this? April 4, 2025.
We already put that on there, so we just need to vote on this.
Okay.
And then the next one, we'll do the next one separately. So does anybody have any questions on the warrant, on the accounts payable? No? Peg,
Yes.
you have questions?
No question.
Okay, so hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, where are you going?
I was just looking for, can I have that folder?
Yes.
Because I didn't get the payroll warrant.
Yeah, that's the only one that's in there.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't have them in our packet. I don't.
You don't?
I have the first one, but not the second. Unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't end up in your packet.
I don't know, I just glanced at that one, so.
All right, well, I'll give this back to you, okay? In just a second.
All right, can I hear a motion to approve and execute the warrants upon completion of review for accounts payable on April 18th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants for accounts payable upon completion of review for April 18th, 2025. Karen?
So payroll warrant dated April 18th, 2025 in the amount of $21,481.65. The only extra is the rec league coordinator,
Okay.
so nothing unusual.
Anybody else want to glance at this? Do you have it? I didn't see it.
I've got a payroll warrant for April 4 and an accounts payable for April 4, but no
Not-
payroll
Not
for
for April
April
18th,
18.
so this is April 18th.
So I did not do that.
That's okay.
It's like,
It's just a Wednesday.
It happens.
I totally get
It
it.
happens, and, you know.
So,
So accounts payable?
yeah, everybody's good with the payroll?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, accounts payable?
April 5th through April 18th, 2025, in the amount of $127,613.21. Nothing really to report, although Good Enough Rubbish Removal, their rates are going up May 1st.
Okay.
A little bit, not enough to, you know, be bothered by it. And we did have some work done on the John Deere backhoe. It was $11,716.20, but it needed to be done, and we haven't really put a whole lot of money into that. And the only other big ticket item, you got Simon Operations, you got Wyndham County Sheriff's Office, monthly
Just the month
contracted, yep. And we did pay, which is Reynolds and Son was the fire gear that we had ordered. And the invoice just came, but it was billed to last fiscal year, so. It's like odd that it came this late, but
Okay.
we're good with that. That's not a, oh my God on that either. Whoops. Let me put you guys back
Yeah,
together.
put us back together.
Put you folks back together. All right, so those are the duties.
Anybody want to take a glance at the accounts payable? Put that back in there.
How does that work? If the fire door was built in the last year, was it booked against that budget?
It
So
was.
Do we still have the money
Yeah,
at the end of the year?
they had a surplus actually.
We spent all that time tucking surpluses away into reserve funds.
Well, it did.
What is the gear?
Fire gear, so pants and jacket, boots. They're not cheap, they're like $3,000 to $5,000 a piece for a set.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. Any questions, Peg? You might not even have it. Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next up is the town manager's report. Karen?
So report on the highway department, we worked with V-Trans, Megan Brunk, and the Old Stage Road, B29, the letter that we got 2 years ago about the scouring on the abutment.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we required estimate and stream alteration permit and engineering for a cutoff wall in front of the scoured areas. So Lenny and I are already in motion with that project.
Okay.
We're talking with somebody from V-Trans too, and they just did one similar to our bridge, and it's like $75,000 to repair.
Wow.
So be prepared. And this is why we have reserve funds. East Putney Brook Bridge, out by the old campground, Brookside Campground, is on a classified trail, according to the state. The town is under no obligation to do anything with that bridge. So it is barricaded at the moment. If there is any access, the select board can require, like a footbridge or something, you know, Emily Peyton has brought it up several times, so. Something that we can talk more about at a later time. But it's not a priority project at this time. B32 East Putney Ferry Road Bridge, you know that big arch bridge that goes over the railroad, off of River Road, down by the farm,
The one that goes.
and it goes out to
yes.
Harlow's
Yep.
fields out there. It has been confirmed that the New England Central Railroad owns the bridge.
That makes sense.
And I've been here for 7 years and going back and forth, and the railroad saying they didn't own it, and we had to deal with it. But, so I am gonna pursue with New England Central Railroad, and I have an appointment with Wyndham Regional Commission, Colin Bratton. We're gonna sit down, this is gonna get on their radar, it's gonna get dealt with.
Okay.
So, that's the story on that. Forest for Learning, the proposed conservation easement, there was a meeting on April 1st. The easement is not moving forward at this time for the school forest. And I spoke with Lynn Borowski, and the Forest for Learning is looking for board members. It is strongly recommended that someone from the select board and or a committee represent town government on this board. So there was a big turnout for the public meeting, and you know, they want to get more members on the board and keep this nonprofit going.
Well, if it doesn't keep going, isn't there a problem about ownership of the forest? I mean,
It reverts to the town, I believe.
In the deed, it does state that that property will revert back to the town.
it's a lot easier if somebody would just deed it to us. And if they're gonna go out of business, the last act out the door would be a lot easier if they just deed it to us, because otherwise, somebody's gonna have to go to court and establish a revert.
Well, that's above my pay grade.
Yeah, well, it's above all our pay grades, but I don't wanna pay to go into court on that, so.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, my husband was the, one of the board directors on that board. I believe he's since resigned. For what it's worth, I do have knowledge of that forest. So I would be willing to do it. It's not really on my priority, but if we can't find anybody else on the select board, I'm willing to represent the board.
So it can be select board conservation. Wilson Wetlands makes more sense to me because of the wetlands
Yeah,
there.
that's a good point.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the planning commission has way too much on their platter right now.
Yeah.
But I think Wilson Wetlands, if we can get somebody
Something
that's
from there, that'd be
involved.
really good. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll put some feelers out
Okay.
and see what we can do.
Okay.
Community Services Appropriation Status Update. Peg, I put this on my report. So Vermont, New Hampshire Visiting Nurses has pulled out of Wyndham County.
Right.
They are the social agencies that we appropriate money to each year. So July 1st, we should be sending a check. At this point, I'm gonna ask the select board, what is your thought about this?
Probably update the policy to say something to the effect that you have to continue services in order to receive the money for the year. But, I guess,
It's obligated right now, it's in the budget.
yeah,
If you pull it, it disperses to the remaining agencies in that group.
why don't we put it on the next agenda, on the next meeting to vote on that?
You know, my preference would be to pull it and sit on it for a while and see what happens. Because
Yeah.
we disperse it to other agencies and then for some reason VNA comes back after us and they have a good case why they're gonna get it, suddenly we've already spent the money. So I'd pull it and sit on it for a while.
Okay. So next meeting, can we talk about that?
Also, the mover has reduced its routes because of funding. Putney is not affected at this time.
Okay.
But just giving you a heads up. Roman Catholic Church property next door is listed. There's been activity over there. I have an email into the realtor to see if it's still on the market, but I'm just letting you folks know.
When did they list it?
Just a couple weeks ago.
Before April 1st?
Maybe. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
before,
'cause
it was before I went on
It
vacation.
was in the packet for the 4th.
Yes.
The listers probably already know this, but it should probably go back on the tax rolls, because they're, obviously, the intent is no longer
Right.
as a church, so.
And I think Jordy did speak about that, so,
Good.
but I'll follow up with him to make sure it gets back on. And Green Up Day is May 3rd, 2025. Bags are available here at Town Hall, so if you want to participate, come on down. And then the Carpenter Pit Joint Select Board meeting with Dummerston.
All right.
Eric is working that out with the chair of Dummerston. Eric's on vacation, so I might reach out to him because that agreement expires in May.
Right,
So we're gonna need a meeting soon.
okay.
And I did hear from the owners.
Good.
And they have a couple questions, but when we sit down at table, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I actually raised it with John a week or two ago, but I don't know what the rules are on Green Up Day, but there's a tire dump down off Old Route 5 that I'm wondering if we can get some volunteers to help clean up. And I don't know about the property owner, whether they haven't, I don't know whether anybody's approached them about doing anything about it, but it's a mess in there.
It's been a mess and it's been on several select boards' radar.
Yeah, I think I've even seen an old Reformer article about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think frankly, we ought to pass an ordinance, a solid waste ordinance. It's the only way we're gonna get any leverage on the situation, but that's for another day.
So you have to pull the old cars out of the ravine too?
There's two down there, one that's basically intact and one that's rotted into the ground, but, there's probably a couple hundred tires down there. And it's all drainage going down into that stream.
Yeah.
It's terrible, it's not good stuff.
Are those tires holding up the bank though? You need to be careful, I mean, you know?
After we pull them out, I'll throw some hay down and get it all grassed in. No, I think the first thing we're gonna be doing is working with the property owner, see if there's a way to get this. But I also wondered whether in the context of Green Up Day, rather than being, threatening, say, hey, look, we may be able to round up some resources to help clean this up. But I don't know how they feel about it.
So it's $10 a tire.
Well, does Green Up cover any of that?
No.
People put tires out by the road, do we just leave them there?
No, but, so we have a truck out here, people bring tires and other stuff, and then the highway department brings it down and dump, and we pay for it. The taxpayers comes out of the budget.
What's our budget? It's probably a couple $1,000s worth of tires in that ravine.
I'm sure. But
Maybe that's an offline discussion with, maybe you can get
Yeah,
together with
I
John
was-
about that.
I was just hoping to get in there before we get to Green Up Day, which isn't that far off, but
No, I know, yeah,
May 3rd.
got a couple weeks.
All right, that's all I have, folks.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions on the town manager's report in the room? Online, so they
Yes,
can't
you
see?
have Howard Freeman.
I have, Mr. Fairman, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, am I correct?
no.
Now, I'm just the
Acting chair.
interim acting chair for today.
Okay, Madam Acting Chair. With reference to that tire dump on Old Route 5 and the junk car that's down there, I reported that to the state of Vermont probably 2, maybe 3 years ago. And the response I got was their recommendation is, sorry to say, to leave dump tires in place. I don't have that correspondence to hand right now, but I could find it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there other comments online? And just a reminder for people who have just joined us, we don't have direct access to the Zoom right now, so please raise your hands if you have a question, and we'll get it answered. But we just don't, I can't see you. Anybody else online?
No.
Okay. Anybody on the select board have anything about the town manager's report? Okay, moving on to Selectboard New Business. Green Mountain Power Company Putney Projects Report, which is Tim.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. Justin Mason, also here from GMP. He's our local designer. I'm a program manager, sort of on the corporate operations side of the business. We were here last summer, and I know Justin had some more communications with the board through summer and into fall as we executed a number of projects here as part of what we're calling our Zero Outage Initiative. Didn't have a name when I was here last summer, but does now. And the goal of that program is to, in a 2-year span of time, which really will include this construction season and next, is to identify and move to mitigate our worst circuits on our system, our least reliable circuits. And some of that work is here in Putney. As I mentioned, we did a bunch of work last year, and we worked over the winter, essentially right outside the door here on Westminster West, and we're currently on West Hill Road as we speak. So I just want to just kind of touch base on what we've accomplished. Just got some feedback along the way from the town on some things that we could do better. Most notably, traffic control, I think was an issue for us, and I believe that we've remedied that. I haven't heard from anybody here in some time, so I think once town meeting went by, I think we got a good rhythm and managing to just not conflict school drop off and some of the other busy times of the day. So again, just something that we need to be aware of. We do plan on continuing up Westminster West Road at some point with another project. So again, just these projects helps us get better when we get feedback like that, either from the town directly, and we certainly hear from our customers as well. So always open to that feedback. And then just our practice of undergrounding, and I know we have some less than perfect outcomes there as well. We had some things that we needed to address, but ultimately our goal is to construct and return things to the way we found them when we start. So in that regard, we are here tonight to share a couple of underground projects, Leon Wood Road and Windmill Hill Road. And those would be an expansion of our undergrounding program, which is one of the primary methods that we're attacking these circuits. So cable and conduit are burying our infrastructure underground. It's the highest and best resiliency that we have, but it also eliminates a lot of other ongoing maintenance that we experience with our overhead lines and so forth, trimming and the like, and obviously the trouble of having those lines knocked out. So part of our program here, I'll be visiting, this is one of 17 towns I'll be visiting over the next several weeks. A lot of repeat customers there, so we're going to be continuing working some of the same towns that we did. So the towns partnerships across the board, as well as the road superintendent group, just critical to our success in that and cooperation. And I think it's been a good model for us to identify projects, work directly with the roads department, take a look at these things in the field. We know that their opinion weighs heavily on board decision making in terms of how you take care of your own infrastructure. So these two projects that I can leave behind with our request letter, that I've signed. Justin is going out. Are you on? Is that one?
No.
Oh, anyway, he's going out with the road superintendent tomorrow to look at these projects. And certainly we would stand by for any sort of issues that are seen on these projects, or if there's something else that we're seeing out there, that if there's a different way of doing something, or just take the feedback on that. And these would be gateways to other projects, maybe on Putney Mountain Road and Banning Road, as I explained in your email. So part of the conversation that we've had is, are we targeting roads that have already been reconstructed or are going to be reconstructed? So ideally, we can approach a town and get ahead of any major capital project that you might have coming up this summer, such that we can go ahead and do our business, get our lines installed, and then have the town come through and complete a finished product there. And in town roads where you've already done that, again, our stipulation is returning the road to the way we encountered it when we did our work. So
Thank you.
that's the big picture of where we're at over the next couple of years. Again, moving and targeting circuits that are the least liability in the company and also affect the largest amount of customers. And so just anecdotally, I believe what we've been doing over the last year is showing improvement in these communities, and that's the feedback that we've gotten, that this winter was much more reliable than some years past. Obviously, we caught a break. I didn't have as nasty a winter this year as we had, but we certainly had that ice storm and we had some wind events. So I think the product is proving itself, and I think the proof of concept is come along with that. So that's our pitch to each community, is to use a couple of example projects and say, this is the type of work we're doing, this is what we've done, and just take your feedback on how we can work best with the town to deliver this project.
Okay. Any questions on the board? Karen?
So I have a couple questions. So are there any easements that the board will have to sign off on?
So typically, a lot of these projects, and Justin can probably answer it a little, he designed these, but typically we're using the road right of way. Okay. So it's kind of a single sign on with the town, if you will. We come to you under 30 DSA and get that right of way to be in the road right away. And if we need any other easements to place something on somebody's property line or something, we would acquire those in concert with this. So it would be completely entitled either 100% by the town, or if there's anything else, we'd have to go get those easements as well to make an entitled package.
We meet every other week, so just keep that in mind. The second question I have is, because it's been brought up, so the new poles are taller and the short poles are still in place. When are those short poles going to disappear?
We are actively working with our telecommunications partners right now, both operationally and at the state level, trying to come to terms on setting, say 24 months or 36 months, trying to get a window established that once GMP's last wire is transferred, obviously we've gone and cut the old poles down to just where the telecommunications are.
Yeah.
So that's our goal right now, is to get rid of that second pole line as expeditiously as possible. So we're currently working on that to get some sort of reliable timeline we can get back to the town. And it comes up everywhere. It comes up with our VTrans partners as well. So it's something that's definitely vexes us, I will admit.
We need them to transfer before we can remove the pole.
Right.
You need what?
We need them to transfer, and then and the old
Yeah.
line retire. So we own them poles. We own both poles.
Poles.
So the joint utilities that are still on there, pay us a licensing fee. So, we're working to leverage them to keep pace.
Okay.
Maybe you should charge them twice.
Right.
There are rules.
Utility tax.
Okay.
I'm always looking for revenue.
Peg has her hand up. We have a couple of her hands as well.
Okay, Peg, go ahead.
Yeah, well, one of my questions was that question about the second polls. But I also wonder if you could speak to why some places are getting lines buried and others not. Like why Windmill Hill, and as opposed to some places that actually are, lines that are probably serving more people in more condensed area like the village.
I mean, I guess I would say, and Justin can speak to it a little bit more since he's more intimately knowledgeable of design, but there's a just sort of a spider web effect. I guess, as we build out, looking at the main lines and, the feeder lines and taking care of those first, making those most reliable, and then as you sort of go out from there, everything becomes more reliable when the main lines are rebuilt.
So Windmill Hill, when I started looking at that project a few years ago, at that point they'd lost power 64 times in a 3-year period. So that was kind of what prompted those guys. The Leon Wood project that we got going on right now is where we traced the issues that the people on Banning Road are having. So to help Banning Road, we had to trace it all the way back to the protective device that services that line, and that's all the way at the beginning of Leon Wood. So that's a 3-part project. This is part 1. Barry Leon Wood, then Barry Putney Mountain to Banning Road, and then Barry Banning Road. So that's kind of the thought process of where we go. It's all based on statistics and data that we've collected over decades.
Yeah.
To isolate and target where we need to put the efforts.
So just the differentiation, like I would say, like West. Oh, sorry.
Peg, did you have a follow-up?
Oh, no, I was just saying thank you.
Okay.
But she had asked, like, what differentiates between overhead and underground, like say West Hill or Westminster West. We're rebuilding in place. A little bit better of a candidate just to rebuild as is, paved environment.
Right.
Go out into these back roads, dirt. Typically, we have a lot of off-road right away. That gives us the ability to bring it to the road, put it in the road, and then retire those really challenging, accessible areas, so forth. So that's sort of
And it's
it's
an overhead underground thing too, right? So most houses are designed to be fed overhead. So when you go down through the middle of town, to replace every overhead service with an underground service is not really viable. When you get out into the rural areas, we can, like, I don't want to get technical about it, but basically come out of a box to a single pole, rise up the pole, feed the customer, and continue the line underground for several hundred feet. So we can make better ground without having to decimate the forest by, I mean, if we went out and put 50-foot poles up Putney Mountain Road, you're not going to have much for tree coverage left on the road, right? So burying it out there makes more sense. Rebuilding the overhead in the town and the populated areas makes more sense here.
What happens to the communications lines when you bury those?
So we're burying a separate conduit for them.
But
So
do you
that-
have the same problem that they won't get their equipment off of the pole?
Unfortunately, we can't force them to do anything, but we are giving them an avenue to put their facilities underground as we bury it. We are burying a separate conduit that they can utilize. So their stuff is not as susceptible to tree damage as our stuff. So our stuff goes out immediately when you touch it with a tree. Trees can hang up on it and can fall on the ground, and it's not really a bother.
As long as it
So,
doesn't snap, yeah.
yeah.
We're facilitating right now, so we're meeting with them operationally, sharing all of our plans with them. Their capital budget and our capital budget are not near each other on the same zip code. So again, so we're doing everything we can, just by way of example, to say, hey, if you wanted a particular, we're putting in one style of duct that can maybe take up to 3 carriers, but if a carrier wanted its own material, we're making them the offer. You buy the material, you give it to us, we'll put it in the ground for you. So just doing everything we can to pull whatever levers we can to get them to come along with us.
Any other comments on select board? Who's on?
Okay, so next I believe is Swift.
So we have Swift, is there anybody else?
Swift
Yes.
and Howard.
Howard Fairman.
Hold on. I'm sorry, so Swift and Howard Fairman?
Yep, and Peg still has her hand up.
Oh,
So.
Peg, do you have another question?
No, I lowered it.
Okay, so Swift, go ahead, and then Mr. Fairman can go. So Swift.
I was just curious about, I don't know if there's any other roads that are like this that are traveling, where power is traveling on basically an inaccessible road. I live on Turner Trail and it turns into Old Stage. And while we have you, I thought to ask, is there any plan to make that more accessible for repairs? Because trees are often falling on that pretty inaccessible part of the road. And you're getting there somehow, but it's frequent that there are outages on our road. So I guess that's a question to the
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, Turner Trail at the end of Old Stage Road, it kind of goes to like I don't know if it's a class 5 road, but it's class 4.
Yeah.
Can't drive it with a truck,
Right.
pick up even. Yeah. That's certainly something we would like to look at. Frankly, there's dozens of roads like that all need to be addressed for sure. That specific one, I don't have numbers on in front of me, but it's certainly something I would be willing to look at. So we'll look at how many people are fed from it, where it's fed from, and kind of go from there. I believe that's on the 69 G2 circuit. So that's not one of the top 20 circuits that we're targeting at the minute. So it's kind of separate from what Tim and I are talking about today, but it's certainly, I agree that that road needs attention. I'm fairly familiar with it.
Okay. So to answer your question, Swift?
Yes, thank you.
And just to follow up, I mean, we still have a regular business and a rate plan and a capital budget, you know, for everything else outside of this program. You know, we're targeting certain work, but, you know, the door is always open for that type of inquiry or feedback, and it'll help us kind of dive into the information and say, yep, okay, we see a pattern here, you know, this many outages over this many years, et cetera, and that's really what starts to drive our decision making.
I know the lineman would absolutely love to see something happen with our trail too.
I guess that doesn't matter. I don't care about that actually. Never mind. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Fairman, go ahead.
Madam Acting Chair, my question would be addressed to the gentleman from Green Mountain Power. Burying the lines, of course, protects them from wind, ice, and falling trees, but then it makes them vulnerable to road washouts. My question is, will they take longer to repair because they're buried if there's a road washout?
No. Unless, you know, it's direct bury, so we're not stick building conduit that would be somewhat susceptible. I think we've seen some road washouts where the conductor is exposed, so I think, you know, it's not separating, it's not coming apart, and stick built conduit and so forth. So I think in terms of actively getting the road repaired is probably, you know, the thing in terms of just, you know, backfilling, you know, the washout. Obviously GMP on scene, making sure that the conductor is safe and in concert with the road crew, but it's...
One other thing we do regarding that is when we come across a water crossing that's like a larger culvert, 4 foot, 8 foot larger culverts, we actually put a pole on either side of the waterway and we'll rise up and span overhead over that waterway. We did that on Holland Hill, and there's several on Leon Wood that we would do that on. And a couple on Putney Mountain, and that will give the town access to service that should that particular water crossing wash out. Again, it's on the larger ones. You know, your smaller culverts, you know, that could potentially be an issue if they get clogged, but we're mitigating with the larger waterways.
Okay, thanks. Do we have anybody else online? Okay. Anybody in the room have any comments? Heather?
Just a question for the gentleman. When it comes to trimming these trees, is there a way to do it without butchering them? A lot of mine are lopsided and top heavy now.
What's your address?
It's on Bella Salts Road.
Okay.
Yep, so that's the thing.
Maybe it's a cost problem.
No, I think, you know, part of it is, and it is a stark thing to look at, I'll say, you know, when we're cutting for construction in this one time. I mean, I think trimming is one thing, and we're on a trim cycle, but rebuilding some of this, we just need a little bit more room, you know, vertically and around our work zone. So it does look more invasive than, you know, so we're trying to, with this conductor though, and the taller poles, we're trying to stay closer to the line and really just cut straight up and kind of, you know, be over the line versus really trying to, you know, get as much depth, but without looking at your property, I couldn't really say, you know,
They're
what
100%
happened.
lopsided. I asked nicely.
I mean,
I get
I
there.
mean, like, there's like an obvious, like,
Yes,
this
like,
is where the lines
this is
are,
where the
and
density
this
is
is
no
the nice
longer.
part of the tree, and this is where it's been,
Right. Say the wind
Okay.
starts and they start to lean. I'd rather not create property damage to save line damage.
So what kind of tree, like pine?
Oh, there's tons of pine. There's
Okay.
maple and oak up there
Okay.
too.
What address Fellows Falls Road?
I'll tell you later.
Oh, sorry, hey, we're on here, right?
Right.
Just bells around.
That's a good way of saying that, if anybody needs to reach out first, is it okay to give your contact information?
Absolutely, you know, Karen has it, absolutely, and all of these, you know, inquiries can come directly to me. We do have a contractor that has construction managers on site that is managing our activities in the field, but they all roll up under our program, so if we start with us, it's a good way to go.
All right. Anybody else online? Okay, anybody else in the room have any other questions, comments? Anybody else on the select board? Okay, thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Yes, thank you very much. Justin, I'll see you
Yep.
soon.
See you soon.
Alright, so the next thing is the municipal code of ethics.
to see that. Power outage last night.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Alright, moving on to the municipal code of ethics, which is the town clerk.
So I can see you. I'm not sure exactly what I should be talking about, because as part of the adoption of the municipal code of ethics, there were certain hoops that towns had to jump through, and we're in the process of jumping through those right now. You know, for example, the first thing is appoint an ethics liaison, and probably back in December or January, I was appointed as the ethics liaison.
Hold on for a second, can you ask them to move a little bit further out? Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, and so we did that. I view that as a different thing than the person designated to receive ethics complaints, as Fletcher and I have talked off the record, just kind of trying to build out an ethics infrastructure for the town of Putney consistent with the mandates that came from Montpelier. So when I was appointed, I sent them an email saying the select board appointed me to the ethics commission, and they said, "Oh, thank you very much." I was like, "Do you need anything else?" They said no. So, and they have not reached out to me to say, "Hey, you need to be doing these 8 things or whatever." So we're kind of marching through this a little bit blind. I know that later on the agenda, we're revisiting the town ethics policies, which is, it's always good to talk about ethics. I mean, we need to be transparent and honest with the people that we serve. So I'm in favor of that. So what I took the ethics liaison to be is kind of to oversee the training requirements. And by September 25th, 2025, certain people in town have to do a 1-hour ethics training. When the Zoom went down, I went to look at my computer, and Bex, I did get your email. So Bex has done it, Fletcher's done it, I've done it. Late, probably tomorrow or early next week, I will send out an email to everyone else who needs to do this ethics training. And we'll start monitoring that and working through that, and there's a mechanism so that we get official notice that you've done the ethics training. And unless you have any questions, that's really all I had in terms of addressing where we are.
The question I asked you, or the suggestion I made to you off the record before, which is, don't the library people have to be on this list too?
Yeah, I think the library people have to be on it. And
The library trustees.
the library trustees, I think if you are if you control money, if you're making judicial or quasi-judicial roles, I think probably the Development Review Board should be on there.
Yeah.
And they're not currently. So I went through and grabbed the people that I interact with, which is quasi-judicial hearing tax appeals through the Board of Civil Authority, abatement. Select board and town managers are in the statute. The town treasurer, anybody who deals with money, I think needs to be involved in this. So the list, probably one of the reasons, Fletcher, that the list hasn't gone out yet is I don't think it's complete. So
I think it's both money and whoever has supervisory responsibility over other staff.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
as well as quasi-judicial, all of those categories.
Yeah, so if it's money or you're making decisions that exercise town authority, I think you need to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing that I'll be looking at.
Okay.
Okay?
Great, so you mentioned somebody to appoint somebody to take complaints. Maybe we're talking about that next.
I think that's
Which I would
what you're talking about next.
Okay.
And
so I will ask you
I
about
don't
that.
view myself as being involved in that.
Mhm.
You know, because if you think about the people who are the decision makers, I mean, I think maybe I have opinions, but Fletcher wrote the policy and whatever that is, whatever you decide is gonna be appropriate, I'm sure.
Jonathan, I count on you to have opinions.
I do have opinions. So.
Does anybody on the select board have any comments or questions? Do we have some?
Harold Fairman.
Mr. Furman, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Just to mention for the benefit of the public, in the meeting packet, the Municipal Code of Ethics has been posted, but for reasons I understand, only 4 of the 10 sections of the Municipal Code of Ethics have been posted. So the public should be aware that they're not seeing the whole thing. And instead, and I can well understand why, because the way these are drafted is very, very badly. You can easily get lost in there as to what you're supposed to do and not to do, to whom, with whom, and when. So I can well understand that you instead put in the VLCT summary of that, which is actually excellent. Although I do have a quibble with one thing. They claim that the state has taken away towns' abilities to have their municipalities' abilities to have their own code of ethics. I would suggest that in Vermont, we all have the same ethics as we do in life in general, not just in municipal government. That's just an observation. But anyway, the key is you're not seeing the whole municipal code of ethics here. This does not constitute a posting of the municipal code of ethics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there other comments online? Okay, any comments in the room about this training? That sounds like lots of fun.
The training lasts an hour.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the end, you fill out my email address and Fletcher and Bex have both done it, and I get a confirmation that you've attended, and then I'll put it on the spreadsheet, which will be available for public view.
Okay. All right.
Is that another share?
Go ahead.
Apologies, I forgot one other point, which is the ethics course is available to the general public. So anyone who wishes to have a look at it may have a look at it. It takes about 45 minutes. It is very well done. And it is certainly much easier to go through than trying to read through this Municipal Code of Ethics statute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, then let's move on to conflict of interest and ethical conduct policy. Thanks, John. You have these backwards, I think. This has got your name on it, Fletcher.
Yeah, it's sort of a confusing stack of things. Because of the titling, we're really talking about the same animal in different stages of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the third after the VLCT packet, you have what is our currently technically existing ethical conduct code of the conflict of interest policy.
Mm-hmm.
I suggest we repeal that because it's been made out of date by the statute.
Okay.
The next question, which is sort of tangentially related to what Mr. Fairman just said, is do we want to adopt something on our own? And personally, I recommend against that because the risk of putting you have to have a policy that at least meets the minimum that the state has set out in their statute, in our statute. You can have higher standards in certain places, but it just opens the door to constant tinkering with it. I think Mr. Fairman is correct. We should also, I would call it a personal code of ethics. I think we should all operate on those. But I believe we should repeal our existing ethical conduct and conflict of interest policy and then just follow the state statute on both of those items, which is now embodied in the Municipal Code of Ethics.
I agree with you. Are there other comments on the select board or discussion from the select board about that idea? Peg, do you have any comments?
Could someone address the difference between what the state is saying in their statutes and what the Vermont League of Cities is saying in their, what do we have here, a recommended, a draft that we could adopt if we wanted to?
So can you answer that question, Fletch? What's the next piece to this? Because this is an ordinance that.
I'm confused by the VLCT position, but, you know, I think we should just follow the state statute and not ask for more complications in our lives.
Well, the reason I ask is because sometimes, not always, VLCT actually makes things less complicated by explaining them in more user-friendly English than the state statute does. But I don't know if it's just I don't know what we're looking at here because it's hard for me to read on my computer, hard for me to compare the two different documents. So.
Yeah, these are definitely apples and oranges when you start trying to compare them. You can read through each and get a sense of them, but to do a head-to-head comparison would be an undertaking.
Yeah, so as far as the actual municipal code of ethics is concerned, it's largely the same as what we had, or what the model VLCT policy used to be. We had tweaked ours to be a little bit more stringent than that one, but it is out of date, and it does complicate things. The state does appear to have wanted to take this over on their own, so I feel strongly that we should let them.
Right, I'm not objecting to any of that. I think getting rid of what we have is a great idea. I'm just trying to understand the difference between going like strictly with the state statute or having a policy, you know, having guidelines that are drafted by VLCT.
I don't think VLCT even has a draft anymore. They've washed their hands of it.
Okay,
So-
that answers your question.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, are there comments online?
Yes, Mr. Fairman.
Mr. Fairman, go ahead.
Madam Chair, further to what Select Person Proctor said, the old Ethical Conduct and Conflict of Interest Policy states, Article 1, Authority, I quote, under the authority granted in 24 VSA Section 229120 and in accordance with 24 VSA Section 1984, the Town of Putney hereby adopts, etc. 24 VSA Section 229120 and 24 VSA Section 1984 were repealed by the Vermont General Assembly effective June 10th, 2024, thereby removing the town's authority for this policy. And you're free to repeal it, but actually your authority for it has been annulled.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments on the select board?
Mr. Fairman's absolutely correct. Those statutes are wrong. So
Okay.
that's
I think
probably
it's-
right up front, the first reason to get rid of this.
I think it's cleaner to officially appeal it. I mean,
I move that we repeal the outdated and superseded Putney Code of Ethical Conduct, whatever the title is again, Ethical Conduct and Conflict of Interest Policy.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to repeal the ethical conduct and conflict of interest policy for boards, committees, and appointed and elected officials.
And might say dated most recently March 6, 2024. we don't create confusion about what we're reviewing.
Dated March 6th, 2024. So for the discussion on the board, are there comments in the room? Comments online? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then going on to Code of Ethics Investigation and Enforcement Ordinance.
Yeah, and this has to go through the ordinance adoption notice and all of that, but I think we need to start that process. And this is the piece that the town clerk was saying, the difference in the roles between him being sort of the contact person for the state. And this is where we put in how we enforce the statute, the code, and what somebody who has a complaint, where do they take it to? Which gets a little complicated. You can see section 4 is the part about complaints, and most employees would root their complaint, the designated complaint recipient would be the town manager. If somebody had a complaint about the town manager, they would send it to the select board. If somebody had a complaint about the select board, it gets a little more complicated. And presuming they're not
Can go back to
complaining,
the
well,
town
they're
manager.
complaining about all of us at once,
Right.
presuming. So if they're complaining about one of us, I guess it comes to us as a body, and we probably.
You don't think they go back to the manager? I guess it would, we'll just create a feedback loop.
Well, it's always hazardous to have somebody adjudicating a complaint who is a subordinate of the
Right.
person being complained about. It sort of leaves open the possibility that the complaint won't be dealt with seriously. So at that point, if it's a complaint about a select board member, then I think we address it as a body. And if it's the whole body, I don't know, I guess they gotta call in the attorney general. We don't, the policy does not address that, because I don't know how we could.
Okay. Is this taken basically straight from the statute?
Yeah, as much as possible, and adapted the places where it needed, like who's our designated complaint recipient, the specifics of that had to be grafted in, but basically it tries to track it like the statute wants us to do.
Okay. Good. Discussion among the select board, anybody have any comments on this?
No.
Can you remind me what the ordinance process is?
I think the first thing is we have to approve it as a proposed ordinance, and then it's gotta be posted for some period of
Then we'd
time.
have a hearing too, don't we?
Yeah, you have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
Can that be part of a regular select board meeting?
Yeah.
It can be, I don't see this,
But don't we have to be like 30 days out or something on it?
yes.
So 2 meetings hence, approximately, 3 meetings hence, if we adopt it, if we approve it for adoption today, then probably our 3rd meeting from now, we could have our public meeting about it.
I don't think you can adopt it
Until we
without
have a
having,
hearing.
you have to have your hearing first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we gotta have a hearing about something. We gotta propose
We should
that this be
propose that we would
adopted.
have a hearing,
Right.
right? Is
Yeah,
that how it
and
works?
the hearing is 30 days from when we propose it.
Okay.
We notice it and put up
Right.
a hearing notice for what our proposal is, but if we adopt this, if we propose this tonight, then that's what we're publicly notifying people we're gonna be looking at 30 some
Hearing in
days
30
hence.
days.
Yeah.
Peg, did you have something to say? I was hearing noise in the background.
No, I don't.
Alright. How do we wanna handle this? Has everybody read this? Do they feel comfortable with it, Peg?
I have not thoroughly digested it. No. I scanned it, but I did not read it So what is our time, what is our rush on this?
There's no real rush, it's just to put something in place and get it off our plate.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, well, I'm fine with proposing it, and because we're gonna have further discussion and, you know, opportunity to tweak it if we want to. So I would support going ahead and proposing it.
yeah, our problem right now is that we're out of compliance with the law. We don't have a mechanism for enforcing the state ethics statute. And the statute says we have to have a mechanism. So, but I agree with you, there's time for further discussion before it becomes final.
Okay. So does somebody want to propose, make a motion to propose, here, what would that be, 3? Oh. Go ahead, Mr. Fairman. Mr. Fairman, are you?
Yes. My screen wasn't responding to my tapping on it. I guess I'm not quite all here or something. I've looked over the proposed enforcement ordinance carefully, and clearly it has been drafted by an excellent lawyer. I do have 2 or 3 observations that I'll take the liberty of offering. The first one regarding Section 3A, the designated complaint recipient. The statute says designate a municipal officer or body to receive complaints alleging violations of the Municipal Code of Ethics. So I'm wondering whether one can actually have more than one person or body. Just a rhetorical question. Now, while the heading of the ordinance refers to Town of Putney, at many places in the ordinance, it refers to Putney. And I'm suggesting that perhaps for clarity for the general public, you might everywhere where Putney is referenced say Town of Putney, because Putney itself, of course, is a generic geographic term. Under E, where it defines public body, I would suggest that it cite where the definition comes from, which is in the Vermont Open Meeting Law, 1 VSA Section 310(6). Let me see, there's 1 or 2 others here. I'm flipping through it. Once again, to make things clear for the public, I'm now on Section 6 appeals, where the drafter refers to Rule 75 of Vermont Rules of Civil Procedure. I suggest that it be mentioned by its full name, which is Rule 75, Review of Governmental Action, so that members of the public who are not familiar with the Vermont Rules of Civil Procedure will have a clearer idea of what's involved there. And I'll come back to one other thing there first, but just to cover off one final thing. Section 9, effective date. If a petition is filed under 24 VSA Section 1973, clearly that is an expert who wrote this. Hardly anyone knows that Vermont does have a referendum by which voters at town meeting can repeal a select board ordinance. So I would suggest you might want to add there permissible referendum so that people have a better idea of what 24 BSA Section 1973 is. Coming back to Section 6 appeals, the ordinance instructs people to consider appealing pursuant to Rule 75 of Vermont Rules of Civil Procedure, which actually is a catch-all intended for actions that are considered not to be fileable under Rule 74. So my question that I would ask the gentleman who drafted it, knowing that he is the lawyer, is why not Rule 74 as opposed to Rule 75? Have you some particular reason?
The dividing line between Rule 74 and Rule 75 is a rat's nest, and if you inadvertently wander into Rule 74, you can end up with your appeal being dismissed, whereas Rule 75 is, as you correctly point out, the catch-all. So most of these kind of appeals for municipal actions do end up under Rule 75.
Thank you for an excellent answer. I entirely agree with you, sir. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I agree that it probably should be consistent with town, just say town of Putney, wherever that, exists. Looks like it exists a lot of places. Did you take down the other suggestions?
Yeah. Municipal referendum, open meeting law, and these sites can be grafted in easily as can town of.
Okay. We could probably still, approve I don't know how to word that. It would be to approve a public hearing on, I guess it would be the 14th, is that right? What day are we on?
Yes.
16th, 13th, 14th. So, right, so to make them
3 be 28.
we're on 16, right?
Oh,
April 16th, so 30th is 2 weeks. 14th would be more than 3 weeks, so that would be the right time frame, I think.
Don't we need 30 days?
Isn't that 30 days?
No, so this is the way it reads. The legislative body shall arrange for one formal publication of the ordinance or rule or a concise summary thereof in a newspaper circulating in the municipality on a day not more than 14 days following the date when the proposed provision is so adopted.
Okay, so we're gonna adopt it and then we're gonna have a hearing? Is that how that reads?
That's not the way I'm
We
getting it.
wanna get this right because it is an ordinance, which means it
Right.
has force of law, so
Right.
I wanna know what the right procedure is.
So the legislative body shall arrange for one formal publication of the ordinance or rule, or a concise summary thereof in a newspaper circulating in the municipality on a day not more than 14 days following the date when the proposed provision is so adopted. So we can have 60 days before it becomes effective.
Right, so we're adopting, what I'm asking is we're adopting it and then setting a date for a hearing. Yes? That's how I heard what you just read.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So, can I hear a motion to adopt the Town of Putney Code of Ethics Investigation and Enforcement Ordinance with the changes so noted, and to hold a public hearing on April 30th then, right? That would be 14 days?
I don't think we can get it in, it doesn't have to be published 14 days
It's to be
before.
published?
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so-
has
and
to be
to-
not
right.
more than 14 days.
Okay,
So
then
you
let's
gotta
have
go-
let's say the
the
hearing would be on the 14th.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
okay.
to hold a public hearing on May 14th.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the Town of Putney Code of Ethics Investigation Enforcement Ordinance with changes so noted and to hold a public hearing on May 14th, 2025. Is there further discussion among the board? Are there comments in the room? Comments online? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we got through that one. Selectboard Old Business, Selectboard Rules of Procedure, Review and Approval, that's Fletcher.
Well, this one's coming around again. It tries to make the rules of procedure both a little more welcoming and a little less Robert's Rules-ish. Although technically, the sort of stripped down version of procedure for conduct of the meeting is taken from the Robert's Rules provisions for small board meetings, as opposed to the full town meeting level of control, but I'm hoping people have had time to review this now and
I think we decided we were gonna workshop this in a working session.
if that's the best way to get through it, that probably isn't a bad idea.
Also, not everybody's here, so,
Do we have a work session scheduled?
I think it's
It's on
on
the
here as
agenda.
a,
We're
as a
gonna get
thing,
to that.
status report update.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that's what you're gonna tell us as we settle on a date. Karen?
Doodle poll results.
We have not.
We have not settled on a date. Okay, we're trying, we're getting there. We're trying very hard to settle on a date. How do other board members? I just, there's a lot of things in here that I think would be better sort of with pens and paper
All the people.
and all the people.
That was my memory of what we had agreed to,
Okay.
and I would look forward to it.
Okay, so let's keep it on the radar and hopefully settle on a date for a work session in the near future. All right, yes, sounds good. Okay, moving on then to the,
Mr. Berman.
Mr. Fairman?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Just one small point. Under Section F, Conduct of Meeting, point 1 says the board is required by law to conduct its meetings in accordance with the Vermont Open Meeting Law, which of course is true. But this actually applies to everything from meetings of the board on downward. So my suggestion is that the Vermont Open Meeting Law be mentioned earlier in this document, because in fact, when meetings may be held and who must be there and what quorums are and so on, that's all under the Vermont Open Meeting Law. I know you're going to workshop this, but now I can forget about it instead of forgetting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments online? Any comments in the room? All right, let's move on to Fire and Rescue Task Force recommendation.
I don't have anything to report there other than to say it is on my mind, and I have some appointments set up to talk with folks about how best to, what's the first thing to bring back to us as a select board. So
Okay, so we're not, okay, so I guess we're putting that on a future agenda as well? Nothing to talk about today?
no, I will tell you when there's something that I want to put on the agenda so that we can discuss it.
All right. Then we will move on to boards, committees, and commissions. Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee candidate appointment. Is that Swift?
Yes, Han should be here shortly. Oh, they are. They're here. I'm not sure what you need from me. Han is interested in joining the equity committee. They seem like a great candidate. They've come to a few meetings.
Okay. Did we get a letter of interest?
It's in your packet.
Yes.
There's a lot of things in my packet. Is it just
It's
an
an email.
Okay.
Did you find it?
Passed it? Not yet.
No?
I have
Not yet.
Here.
planning commission.
Yeah, I'm a little.
I don't think that's. It's on email either.
I got it.
You got it.
I did it. Okay. Okay, so this is from Han Bingham Brunner. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Bingham Brunner, yeah.
Okay. This says, hello, I am interested in joining the Putney Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. I have attended a meeting, and based on my personal work in equity and inclusion, I am interested to further this mission in the town of Putney. Thank you. And is they there?
They are.
Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, I don't really know. I just moved up here. I work at Landmark. And I just would really value this opportunity to get to be involved.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions?
No, I just want to say, hi, Han, this is Peg speaking. I work with Han at Landmark. They're a professor, and I'm super excited that they're interested in joining the Equity Committee.
Okay, great. Any comments online from the public? Any comments in the room? Okay, well then can I hear a motion to appoint Hans Bingham Brunner to the Putney Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Hans Bingham Brunner to the Putney Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. Any further discussion on the board? Any comments online? Any comments in the room? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
I'll just say thank you.
Yes.
Excited to work with them, and thank you all for your support.
Okay, thank you. We haven't actually voted though. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, going to the Planning Commission status report. Is Sue online?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Sue.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Very good. Hello, everyone. Sorry I could not be there in person, but this is my monthly report for the Planning Commission, and I have some good news for you in several areas. So the report is in your packet, and I'll just give you some headlines, and then if you have some questions, I'll be glad to answer them. So beginning kind of picking up from the Diversity and Equity Committee, we are also trying to develop and build out the commission. And recently, Vanessa Long, who grew up in Putney and is a resident of Putney, has expressed her interest to serve on the Planning Commission. She attended our April 1st meeting, monthly meeting, and she also attended our April 10th zoning bylaws modernization community meeting and was part of that. She brings a wide range of experience and background as a professional and as a resident, very interested in the future of Putney and perspective of the past as well. So we will, the commission has only had a chance to include her in a meeting to get to know her, and I've had a chance since then to meet with her, and she will attend our next meeting in early May, our monthly meeting, at which time I believe the Planning Commission will take up a motion to recommend that she be nominated to the Select Board, which I would then do. But I wanted to bring it to your attention now so that you have a chance to see her resume, which is included at the end of the report, as well as her letter of interest that she provided in mid-March. And, if you wanted to meet her, you'd be welcome to do that. Reach out to her. In any case, the Planning Commission is very interested and will be discussing it further with her at our meeting in May. And that would bring us to 5 members of the commission, which would make all of us very happy. And we do need a Putney resident to be our next member, so she would fill that qualification. My next point, more good news. The VTrans Transportation Alternatives Grant has been approved for Putney by VTrans. And this would be for the Putney Landing Pedestrian Walkway Stage 1, which would be the walkway to be determined exactly where it be located, but somewhere near between the banks and the library with a walkway between the 2 banks to Old Depot Road. That we haven't entered into the contract yet. This came to the town manager, but I think it really speaks to the benefit of a public process that really did engage the public again to talk about what mattered and what needed and shape the proposal. And I'm very glad that it was selected for funding, and I look forward to having the Planning Commission work with the town manager to put a plan in place for implementing the design and construction. The design phase will include public engagement. So that's more good news. That would provide $92,800 to the town's funding, which would be, let's see, I can read it, $23,200. So it's a very, very generous and a very good opportunity for the town. Continuing the grant writing discussion, the Planning Commission with the town was able to submit a municipal planning grant application for a comprehensive village plan. Comprehensive village plan is called for in both the town plan and also in the housing needs assessment. As I mentioned to you at the March meeting, I had just recently learned about this grant opportunity with a due date of 31st of March. We were able to submit a full proposal with 10 letters of support that are listed there for doing this project. It is certainly a top priority on the next list of projects. We will know by the end of the month whether it was selected for funding. If it was not, I have learned that this is really a delayed solicitation that should have been done in September of 24. It didn't get started until this winter. The usual schedule of having proposals due in the fall will come around again. So if we weren't selected for funding, we would be a good candidate for the next round of funding, which would come up in September. So we're hoping it's selected sooner than later, but if not, we're all set for a second round. Couple of updates on the Housing Needs Assessment and Action Plan that the Select Board approved as guidance for housing strategy implementation. Is that there was a meeting, BCRD facilitated housing collaboration meeting on Monday, attended by Peg Alden and Bex Slattery from the Select Board, but also the Planning Commission and the Housing Advisory Committee or Housing and Energy Efficiency Advisory Committee. It was clarified for us there, and Our Future Putney Housing Solutions Task Force. It was a very good meeting. We're still pulling together the results of that. We'll have a full report from BCRD a month from now, but we did arrive at some important next steps, some of which will be moving forward sooner than later, including having a 5-year look at an implementation plan and what structure might work for us to work together. So there'll be more details on that coming, but that was just on Monday, so we're still pulling together the final parts of that. Continuing with implementing the recommendations of the Housing Needs Assessment and Strategy is another grant proposal that is due May 14th to Environmental Justice for New England. And this would be to implement the housing coordination services as recommended in the strategy. That would be to support the implementation of a multi-year home repair improvement and expansion initiative, including technical assistance to those who are trying to do that and matching them with incentives and other help for them to do the projects. Identifying best options to engage a community loan fund, and that's a project that we will do in collaboration with the Housing Solutions Task Force. So that's discussion in play right now and planning this grant. And also building a dedicated network of sort of a qualified contractors network of builders, contractors, suppliers that would support this initiative. And next week, the town manager and I will be talking with Bellows Falls about this as a joint initiative to lay the groundwork for housing coordination services, not only as a service to Putney, but to multiple communities, because it's really one of the things needed to help us make good use of existing housing, as well as to expand that to improve kind of our utilization factor of that housing, whether it's ADUs or shared housing, but also to support new housing. So that's coming, and that is in the works, and you'll hear more about that. But I suspect we will have to complete it and submit it by the time of my next mid-month report. The grant application would be for $250,000. There is no co-funding necessary for this. So that is another work in progress to move us along in our town plan. Another aspect of implementing our town plan is the zoning bylaw modernization project, which is several months into the work right now. And we had our first community meeting last week, April 10th, hosted by Landmark College. attended by 30 people. And it was a really good introduction to what zoning bylaws are in Putney and what are the issues on the table, how people can participate. And we had a fun exercise by Homes for All called Think Like a Developer, and engaged everyone in thinking about how do you increase housing density in a village area. It was fun and illuminating, and it was a good start to our public engagement. And our next meeting will be our monthly meeting, May 6th, at which we'll be talking about several sections of the bylaws with the Project Advisory Committee and the consultant, and we'll be talking about proposed changes and having a discussion about those for sections 1, 2, and 3. So that project continues. And I also wanted to just, let's see, let me get my pages here. Just touch on that we do have our schedule for the Planning Commission meetings. We're trying to, as much as possible, map the zoning bylaw modernization work that is all done in open meeting with the advisory committee to our monthly meetings. So the next meetings are May 6th and June 3rd. We meet at 6:30, so we have a little time to do other Planning Commission business and then take on the work of the bylaw modernization. You'll see as attachments to this, the information, the letter of interest from Vanessa Long and her resume. And then I also provided to you one document that was distributed at the community meeting that provides links to for the zoning bylaws, to resources, what our bylaws are, zoning maps, subdivision regulations, the Development Review Board, and also that talks about how to contact and be involved so that we're being very clear that the public is engaged in multiple ways. And finally, the project schedule is on the very last page. So you can see how that flows. And just today, I was preparing a very detailed map to get us all the way to the public hearings. And my guess is that we would be ready for a public hearing by the Select Board, possibly in February, to allow enough time for notice for a Planning Commission hearing, as well as notice for Select Board hearing and time in between for consideration of the draft regulations. So that's my quick report, and welcome any questions.
Select Board members have any questions?
Sue, one very minor point, the pedestrian walkway proposal, I couldn't remember whether that plan included some kind of traffic control. Is there like a light that the pedestrian can activate?
Yes, it will be very much like what we have near the Putney Central School. It would be a pedestrian activated walk light with flashing light, so that it would clearly show traffic that somebody is trying to cross the walk.
Excellent, thank you. I also was at the meeting on Monday. And the thing that most impressed me was that there's a lot of people with oars in the water on these housing issues, and it seemed to me, I thought that meeting was really useful to bring people together, but personally I thought having something institutionalized. I talked to Dawn King after the meeting, and she suggested maybe the relevant groups, both the Planning Commission, the Housing Solutions Task Force, and the Housing Advisory Committee might be a good idea to have like a quarterly meeting to just compare notes and collaborate, which I thought personally was an excellent idea. So that's something perhaps you can consider. I did, as part of that, spend quite a bit of time trying to go through all the documentation I could find, both for all three of those groups. And one thing I noticed is that the Planning Commission has not been posting minutes of its meetings on the website. And that is a clear requirement of the open meeting law. I suspect that with your very thorough presentations in your reports to the board, there's probably minutes there. And I don't know whether they just aren't making it onto the website or what, but that's something that the planning commission needs to make sure, or work with the town manager to make sure that those minutes get posted.
Karen?
So we have a communications liaison, and as long as the minutes are sent to her, they go up on the website. Now, we have had a shift because the planning commission has a new clerk. And my office has given them the authority to post on the website. So it should become more consistent as long as the minutes are written within the 5 days and then posted.
Yeah, well, clearly we can't meet the 5 days on the ones that have already happened, but I would like to, it's really useful to understand the history, the evolution of these projects if the minutes are posted. So if they are out there, even though they might not be timely, it would be great to get them up on the website so people can see them. I know it's not necessarily a planning commission thing, it's more of a board thing also, but doing that investigation, it really, I realized that the Housing Advisory Committee, which is a committee that's advisory to us, seems to be really limping, pretty defunct, and one vacancy on it. I wondered if there was anything we can do to resuscitate that, because I think it's an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
I something that is coming from VCRD that could be helpful to that is they're preparing a report, including the kind of recommendation, Fletcher, that you just suggested, and I'll make sure that that is highlighted in that report. And they'll be making recommendations of how do we actually create a structural approach to these things, and how that might involve existing bodies. There was some discussion about that at the meeting on Monday. So, but the observation that the advisory committee, the Housing and Energy Efficiency Advisory Committee, has not been very active as it was talked about. And I there'll be a report coming in early May, is what VCRD said. So I just want to let you know that there'll be some suggestions coming from them as sort of a professional view about how we could proceed. Not that you couldn't discuss it now, but I just wanted to let you know that's coming.
I have noticed that as well. It's always an issue to with some of these longer standing committees where we have people who have been on them for a very long time and probably don't have the time that they would like to be able to commit to such a committee. We should probably revisit that one and maybe recruit some new bodies and get it up and running again, because there's some things that they could be doing, like weatherization projects and things like that would really help a lot of residents. So I agree with that. Maybe that should go on another agenda after this report, maybe.
Yeah. Given that the report on the housing needs of Putney identified substandard housing as a really significant issue, weatherization sounds like a darn good idea.
And there's a lot of groups that, there are energy committees that have been putting on weatherization projects, but we folded that piece into the Housing Advisory Committee in the hopes that they would be able to take it further than the defunct Energy Committee did.
Right. Well, and given that I have been tasked with looking at alternative energy, I'm wondering whether I might be foolish enough to suggest myself to fill the vacancy.
You just said it online. We all heard it. We all heard that. Okay, let's go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to suggest like what has been said, that we wait until this report comes in. And I also think maybe we add it to our working session, because it really is like a bigger conversation about, I think maybe a conversation about our committees in general, just how our committees functioning, what is there things we want to do in terms of, strengthening committees, combining committees, whatever. Like, I think this is a great topic for a work session.
Okay, sounds good. Sue, I wanted, let me get this off before I forget. I wanted to mention that you said that you were gonna have Vanessa meet on your regularly scheduled meeting and have the board members that you have vote on a recommendation. But I just wanted to point out that our appointment policy doesn't require that. We may solicit feedback from current members before appointing, but we don't have to. And so I'm just throwing it out there. We do have a letter of interest. We could appoint her tonight if you felt that was something that, just to take another step off of your plate.
Thank you very much, Eileen, for that offer. I'm very interested to do that. I haven't had a chance to share it with the other planning commissioners, but I will suggest that I do acknowledge and appreciate that you all, it's really up to you, and it isn't really a particular concern of us. So it isn't necessary that we take it up. And if you wanted to take it up tonight, that would be just fine. I think she's an excellent candidate. She's very interested in getting started. We could use the help. So I think it's really, up to you how you'd like to proceed.
I mean, the only caveat is, do you think she would get along with the rest of the board? And if you're pretty sure that she will, then I would have no reason not to appoint her tonight. I will say for everybody involved that planning commission members, by statute, if we wanted to remove one, we can do that, but it would have to be a unanimous decision by the full board. So that's the one thing. Planning commission members are a little bit harder to get rid of if they're not playing well with others. So that's the only caveat. What are other board members?
I think it would be good if she met with the board.
Okay.
Yeah. Just I don't want to run roughshod past their process as well.
Okay. So
With that said, I think she looks like a terrific candidate.
We were discussing this. Me and Bex were discussing this earlier. Just being impressed with the specifically the being a mother and a graduate student. I was saying I should put that on my resume too, not the graduate student part, just mother and also all this other stuff. Anyway, so I guess we will wait until the next meeting to appoint. Is there further? Oh, sorry.
Yes, Howard.
Oops.
Let's try it. Yeah, Mr. Fairman.
Okay, Mr. Fairman.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Regarding the crosswalk project, I have a comment and then I'll ask a question of our Planning Commission Chair. My comment is the easement between the credit union and the bank will have to be obtained from someone. My suggestion is dealing with M&T Bank will be dealing with corporate. Dealing with 802 Credit Union will be dealing with people in 802 Credit Union who are employees of the member owners of River Valley of 802 Credit Union, many of whom, including me, live in Putney. We probably, if we go the 802 Credit Union route, can facilitate that because the land is not occupied by anything at present. Second, my question to the chair of our planning commission is, do we have a potential completion date for this crosswalk?
No, not quite yet, Mr. Fairman. We don't have a completion date. We don't have a contract in place yet with VTrans. This news came just before the town manager went on vacation, so this is follow-up business. So until we have a contract in place, we don't really quite know that. But we'll be addressing that very soon here and putting a contract in place. So we're excited to get it going too.
Are there other comments?
Yes, that was Swift.
Swift, go ahead.
I was just going to briefly say that I've worked professionally with Vanessa Long, and she's fabulous and thorough and detail-oriented and would be an asset. So I probably won't be at the next Selectboard meeting, so saying it now.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there comments on, you're in the room. Comments in the room?
I just had a thought about how I put my momming of 18 years on my resume as being a domestic engineer.
I loved it. I read it out loud. I was like, let's more of this, please.
Right.
If I may, just will have one more comment before we close. I just want to acknowledge Fletcher's observation about minutes being spotty. There are some up there, and there's actually some that I've sent in that are approved that haven't been lifted, that haven't been posted yet, but hopefully our new clerk will be able to do that shortly. But it is not a proud point, frankly, that we've been falling behind on minutes. We will make sure they're all there. It's been the problem of working with just 3 commissioners and trying to move forward so many things. Not a good excuse, but that's what happened. And we're very glad to have a clerk, and we are very glad to have new capacities to post things directly. And that will assist not only the Planning Commission, but the town staff who've been, frankly, burdened with so much to do. So I think we're in a better place, and some new things have been put in place, including I now have a official town email as Planning Commission chair, and the Planning Commission now has its own Zoom account versus using my personal account. So we're trying to clean up things and make it more as it should be in those ways. So thank you for your comment, and we intend to backfill. We've got things that just need to be polished up and to stay current.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on the board? Any other comments online? Anybody in the room? Okay, thank you very much, Sue. And I guess we'll hear from you again the next meeting. And Vanessa.
Yeah.
Hopefully, anyway. Okay, moving on to Select Board Status Report Update, which is Select Board Goal Setting Session, Doodle poll results. Sharon.
So folks, the most,
Are we being difficult?
yeah, I can only get 3
what?
of us. Members to on the same day.
Gotcha.
So if you're gonna be working as a 5-member board, I gave you 20 options too.
Yeah.
So not quite sure where you wanna go with that.
Everybody else should agree with my date.
Are you feeding us?
I think at this point, I don't tell you guys.
How far out did you go? I know there were a lot of dates on
I
there.
went into May, but I mean, it makes sense.
I declined a lot of dates mostly because I'm not entirely sure what my schedule is yet with my new job. So I should have a clearer idea about weekday dates that I could attend a meeting in a week or so. Things are becoming clearer to me. So if it was me, I'm sorry.
No, and I understood because of your, during the week it would be harder for you
Yeah.
than it would for others, but.
Weekdays are hard because I work full time during weekdays.
Yeah.
So if I am the outlier, I could maybe try to get time off. But it was hard for me to say that I would take all, multiple.
Well, the ideal would be a Saturday,
Yeah.
but that doesn't work for everyone, apparently, so.
I mean, Saturdays usually work for me. Why don't you put it back out again, and we will try harder to find times to have this meeting.
You know, if it's a Saturday, we'll have like,
Pizza, coffee, donuts.
yeah.
That's what you were gonna say.
Yeah, everything. I'll make sure you're fed, okay?
Okay.
And Karen, my suggestion is too that, I mean, it's not that helpful to be like, if I can't meet at 9 o'clock, then I'm not going to be able to meet at 9:15 or 9:30 or something. You know, it's like, if I can meet, so all of those choices don't really make much sense to me. I think it would be more effective to say, you know, can you meet on Saturday morning, you know, 9 to 11, or Saturday afternoon, 1 to 3, and not get so much into the like.
Oh, like wider time frames.
Yeah, just because you know, if I'm free, I'm free. And if I'm not free, it's because I'm out of town or something, you know. So a half an hour here or there isn't going to make a difference. Does it make sense?
Yes. So we can start at 7 a.m.
I got small kids, so I'm up at 7
me.
Saturday mornings. Oh,
I
yeah.
know, you sleep in.
I try to.
I know.
Mr. Fairman, go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, there's one thing here that is probably baffling other members of the public, or will when they watch the video. This agenda item refers to Doodle poll results. Please explain.
It's where you take a piece of paper and everybody. So a doodle poll is just it's a mechanism to gather information on how to
Consensus.
Availability.
Yeah, getting consensus on availability amongst a bunch of different people. It's called Doodle poll. It's an app. Did that answer your question?
It did, thank you.
So there are no more than 3 in any of the slots?
Yes.
Yeah, just give it. Send it back out, and we'll.
I'm gonna give you 3 choices, that's it.
Ooh,
3 choices.
Uh-huh.
yeah. Let's go. Don't play around.
Okay.
Yeah, take it into May. Give us a bunch of choices in May.
Yeah, give us a bunch of choices in May. So I do have Londonderry Selectboard meetings on Mondays.
Right.
So it's the first and third Monday. So I could theoretically meet the other 2, but you know how these select board members are, and sometimes you need emergency meetings and special meetings, and so.
I'll stay away from Monday.
Okay. All right. Have we beat that doodle poll to death?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, moving on to public comments on items not on the agenda. Is anybody in the room? Anybody online?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, who were the 2 yeses?
Howard, Fairman, and Swift.
Okay, Swift, go ahead, and then Howard. Mr. Fairman.
I just wanted to briefly share an apology from the Equity Committee. We had it on our radar to write a statement for Arab American Heritage Month, which is April, and we are behind. So I will be presenting it on the last day of April. Hold on, right. The last day of April. So apologies for that, but I will bring it to the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fairman?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Last fall, the town of Putney mowed the vegetation along both sides of the Sandhill Causeway right down to the water line, which violated state law, which mandates a vegetation buffer beside bodies of water. So I'm bringing it up now because the vegetation is starting to grow again, and someone needs to instruct the people who do the mowing that they should mow for the road, but stay away from the water line because they're not allowed to mow that far down. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Karen, can you take that under advisement?
I will take care of that.
All right, thank you.
I know just who to talk to.
Okay. Any other comments online on public items not on the agenda? Karen.
I forgot to mention that, we do have a sewer main out here, a sewer pipe that's going from the Gleanery to our sewer main out
Okay.
to Route 5. There was a plug in there, it was plugged up. Brian Tyler came, he put a balloon in there, ran his camera down, and a piece of the pipe is broken. So they will be digging that up probably next week to
That's in the
repair.
parking lot or that's in the lawn?
It's right here on the corner of the lawn,
Okay.
and you'll see it's wet out there.
Okay.
So they're having problems at the Gleanery, it was
Yeah.
backing up,
Okay.
and then, yeah,
That's too
so.
bad.
I just wanna let you folks know that if you see somebody digging out there, Green Mountain Power was out there, Justin was out there today. So there will be some repair.
Just for the record, it's not the Gleanery anymore, it's the diner, the Putney Diner.
True.
I'm proud of it.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments on items not on the agenda? Okay, looks like we are having an executive session tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go into executive session, but before we do that, our next meeting date is April 30th, 2025. So can I hear a motion to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A1C after making a specific finding that premature general public knowledge will clearly place the public body or person involved at substantial disadvantage, arbitration or mediation, parentheses BCA appeals, and 1 VSA 313A2, the negotiation of securing of real estate purchase or lease options.
So moved.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A1C and 1 VSA 313A2. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, and invite Karen in.
Darn
I always forget that part. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and are we making a decision? We have exited the executive session at 8.
No,
7. 7:55. Ish.
Yep.
And can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks everyone.